You walk through the door after a gathering, a meeting, or even a brief conversation that seemed harmless at first. The room is quiet now, the echoes of voices lingering faintly in the corners of your mind. Your shoulders slump, your breath feels heavier, and your chest carries a weight you cannot quite name. You sit, perhaps on a couch or the edge of your bed, and notice a subtle emptiness, a fatigue that feels almost as if it has seeped into your bones. It is not physical exertion that tires you. Your body has moved, spoken, listened, yes, but in ways that others may not see, in ways that drain more than muscles can measure. You feel drained not because of loud noise or chaos, but because of the constant navigation of energy, attention, and emotional presence. Perhaps it starts in the small gestures, a conversation where you respond with warmth, even when your own mood is fragile, a smile offered while your thoughts are elsewhere, a laugh shared because silence feels wrong. Each act is not conscious effort alone, but an exchange of subtle energy, a quiet adjustment to the rhythms, moods, and expectations of those around you. You give more than you realize, and it accumulates, leaving you depleted. You may have noticed this pattern over time. Certain social situations leave you buzzing, alert, or even tense. Others bring fatigue that lingers long after the interaction ends. It is not always loud, dramatic, or obvious. Sometimes it is the unnoticed, small acts of adaptation, leaning into humor when you don't feel like it, softening your opinions to avoid friction, reading the room to anticipate discomfort, that quietly consume your vitality. In these moments, solitude feels like a sanctuary. Being alone is not a retreat, nor is it a punishment for social engagement. It is a necessary pause, a space where the body and mind can recalibrate. You notice your breath returning to its natural rhythm, your muscles loosening, your thoughts untangling themselves from the web of interaction. Solitude is restorative precisely because your system has been adjusting, syncing, and accommodating without your conscious awareness. It is often in these reflective moments that you become aware of subtle emotional patterns. Perhaps you notice a tension around approval, a constant adjustment of words and gestures to maintain harmony, or the quiet vigilance to prevent discomfort in others. You might recognize how much energy is spent anticipating reactions, maintaining composure, and navigating invisible boundaries. These patterns, learned long before you could name them, are survival strategies. They are adaptive responses that allowed you to move through the world safely, to be accepted, or simply to avoid unnecessary conflict. There is also an element of sensitivity here. You might notice small cues that others overlook, a fleeting frown, a pause in speech, a glance that speaks volumes. Your awareness of these subtleties can heighten connection, empathy, and insight, but it also carries a cost. Being attuned to such nuances requires constant calibration, a delicate dance of energy exchange that is rarely acknowledged or understood by those who do not share the same sensitivity. The exhaustion you feel is not a failure or flaw. It is the natural outcome of engaging deeply, perceptively, and empathetically in a world that often moves faster, louder, and less mindfully than your system can comfortably accommodate. You may find yourself withdrawing, preferring solitude after gatherings, and this withdrawal is not rejection. It is restoration. It is a form of self-respect, a gentle recognition of limits, and a way to preserve coherence in the face of constant engagement. Consider how your body signals this fatigue. A heaviness in the limbs, a subtle headache, tension across the shoulders, or a quiet emptiness in the chest. These sensations are not accidental. They are communication from your system, reminding you that energy has been spent and replenishment is needed. Listening to these cues is an act of awareness, not weakness. Over time, you may have developed strategies to cope. Perhaps you move quickly through social spaces, keeping interactions brief, or seek the company of a few trusted individuals rather than large groups. Maybe you schedule solitude after known gatherings, or create quiet routines to recover energy. These strategies are not avoidance. They are practical adaptations that maintain balance between engagement and restoration. There is a subtle wisdom in noticing your limits, Awareness transforms fatigue from an invisible burden into an intelligible guide. You can anticipate when energy will be consumed, plan for recovery, and negotiate boundaries with gentleness rather than force. This self-awareness fosters autonomy and grounded presence, allowing you to navigate the social world without overextension. Sometimes this exhaustion manifests as emotional heaviness. You may feel sensitive, reactive, or unusually irritable after social contact. These are natural reflections of accumulated energy expenditure. Your system has been constantly active, scanning, adjusting, and responding, often without explicit effort. Allowing space to reset is essential. It is not indulgence, it is coherence. The rhythm between engagement and withdrawal becomes a subtle practice. Social interaction becomes intentional rather than reactive. Moments alone are recognized as essential, restorative, and informative. You begin to notice patterns. What environments energize you, which interactions drain you, and how your mood responds to these dynamics. Each observation is a quiet insight into the self, not judgment, not blame, but recognition. You may also notice how expectations amplify exhaustion. Social norms, obligations, and subtle pressures can make engagement feel heavier than it is intrinsically. Perhaps you feel the need to entertain, to perform politeness, or to suppress personal preference. Each act of adjustment, while often invisible, consumes energy. Awareness of these patterns allows you to choose consciously which expectations to honor and which to release, restoring a sense of autonomy. There is a delicate balance in all of this. Too little engagement can lead to isolation and a sense of disconnection. Too much can create fatigue that clouds perception, reduces patience, and blurs self-awareness. The challenge is not to withdraw entirely or engage indiscriminately, but to cultivate a rhythm that respects your own energy while allowing meaningful connection. Awareness brings gentle empowerment. You begin to recognize that fatigue is a signal, not a verdict. You learn to read your own cues, respect your thresholds, and navigate interactions with intention. You gain the ability to choose when to speak, when to listen, when to stay, and when to retreat. Each decision is informed by insight, not guilt. The practice is subtle. Perhaps you notice the slight tension around your mouth after prolonged conversation, the slight clenching in your hands, or the drift of attention when energy wanes. These cues are invitations to pause, to breathe, to restore. You may step outside, sink into a quiet room, or simply close your eyes and feel the rhythm of your own breath. Each pause is a recalibration, an acknowledgement of the cost of engagement and the need for restoration. Connection, when navigated with awareness, becomes more sustainable. You may return to interactions with presence rather than exhaustion, empathy rather than depletion. Your ability to attune, respond, and engage becomes more selective, more conscious, and ultimately more coherent. Fatigue is no longer a silent thief. It becomes a guide, pointing to boundaries, rhythms, and practices that honor your capacity. There is also a profound insight here. The world is not inherently misaligned with your needs. Rather, your system has been tuned for subtlety, nuance, and awareness in ways that are less visible in a fast-paced social landscape. Recognizing this tuning is liberating. You can appreciate your sensitivity, honor your rhythm, and cultivate interactions that are fulfilling rather than draining. In essence, your exhaustion is a quiet teacher. It is not a punishment, not a defect, not a limitation. It is an indicator of your attunement, your investment, and your adaptive intelligence. Solitude, pauses, and mindful engagement become tools for maintaining coherence and energy. Awareness allows choice. Reflection brings understanding. Recognition fosters compassion. And in these moments, after the fatigue settles and restoration begins, you may notice a soft grounding. Your thoughts return to clarity, your body softens, and a quiet confidence emerges. A recognition that your rhythm is valid, that your needs are legitimate, and that your energy is a precious resource to be honored. You feel safe in your capacity to navigate the world on your own terms. You understand why the room feels heavy, why the air seemed thick, and why a simple conversation could leave traces in your body and mind. This awareness does not isolate you. It equips you with insight, self-compassion, and presence. You are not broken. You are sensitive, attuned, and human. And in honoring this sensitivity, you reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your ability to be fully present when it matters most.